Hello everyone, Mark here with Mark's Max Muscle, and it is once again time to pit Dorian Yates up against Dr. Phil Heath. Now, about a month ago, I made two videos back to back. The first one featured Dorian Yates from 1993, which would be his best version, up against Dr. Phil from 2018, which is arguably his worst version. Now, the next video, I did a little bit of the opposite. I featured the worst Dorian Yates, probably 97, up against the best Phil Heath, arguably now, 2011. Some people say 2013, 2012 also was good. But anyway, let's not split hairs. Today, we're going to do the third installment in this video. And this is going to be the best Dorian Yates versus the best Dr. Phil. 1993 against 2011. So this should be a good one. So let's begin this comparison. And what better way to begin than with this, the front relaxed position. And wowee, what a difference this is. If you'll notice, Phil Heath, he's substantially different now, but more into the gut. His arms and legs and things of that nature are close to being the same size, maybe not as conditioned. But with that tiny little wee waist, he's actually beating Dorian here, much to my chagrin, because I do like Dorian. Now, here's what I mean about the stomach. Here's a new picture of Phil. Now, keep your eye on this midsection. Watch this. Boom. He had a tight little waist. Now watch, we'll do it again. Boom. Big gut. Now, boom, little tiny waist. That's fun to do. But having said that, Dorian Yates was never one to win this position anyway against the likes of like Sean Ray, Kevin Levrone, even SRL Somebody. All those guys were beating him in this position. He'd get them in the poses. Now, here's hoping that this is going to be a nice match, but kudos to Phil. He is winning this one. But let's have a look at front double bicep. And the domination of Dr. Phil begins. This is his second win in a row. Now, he is winning on all the muscle qualities, the arms, the legs, perhaps the chest, I don't know. Dorian's got a big, thick chest. But when you look at the waist, Dorian's waist is still a lot better and tighter. You'll notice this is the beginning of Phil's distension in that waist. It's starting to look like an egg here. If it was distended a little bit more, then I would have to ding him and award the point to Dorian. But since Phil is winning so vehemently on the muscle quality of the arms and things of that nature, well, his gut isn't quite that big, but I got my eye on it. I definitely have my eye on it. And here at Mark's Max Muscle, you know that I don't reward big guts, even if they're winning on all other aspects. But having said that, Dorian, again, he never really did win this pose, did he? Anyway, I think the next one might be I hope anyway, might be a little bit different. Here we go. The front lat spread. And much like I predicted, my man Dorian is definitely taking this one. So he is living up to his name with his Dorian-esque front lat spread. Wow. Now, if you hear people talk about pop, a muscle having pop, Phil Heath has negative pop. This looks like basically him standing there with his hands on his hips. They're virtually the same. Dorian would hit that front lat spread and boom, la boom. These big lats would just, wow, as you can see here. So that's what I mean by pop. And if you're going to draw just the best silhouette for a front lat spread, look at the shoulders and everything on Dorian. Goes into that tight little waist. Phil looks like, take a phrase from Arnold, he looks like a bottle. But no disrespect meant to Heath. He did just win 2 in a row, but he lost this one against the juggernaut, Dorian Yates. Anyway, let's have a look at the side chest. And even perhaps the biggest of Dorian Yates fans and the most prominent Phil Heath haters would have to admit Heath has it in this one. I never liked Dorian Yates' side chest pose, although here in the photo shoot he looks fantastic, but who doesn't? Of course, they probably take several shots to get the perfect one. That's why I don't like using photo shoot pictures for these contests. Makes it fair. And Phil Heath, Dr. Phil, as I like to call him, is winning this one. Now, many of you geniuses out there may be saying, well, Dr. Phil is only 5'9", and Dorian Yates is 5'10", maybe 5'10 and a half. How come Dorian is so tall compared to Phil in this whole comparison? Well, to all you scholars out there, if you'll notice, Phil always bends his knee quite predominantly. Makes him look thicker. Anyway, Dorian always stood up straight. But it is scoring him no points here in this. Now, let's cruise on over to the side tricep. And what a little battle this is. Phil Heath usually runs roughshod over gentlemen with this side tricep of his. But my soul, Dorian Yates just locked and loaded. Sung. He's ready to do battle. You know what I mean? Yeah, you know what I mean. Anyway, look at the structure of Dorian. First of all, the structure has been winning in all poses. Even the front, relaxed with those lats, I will say. But I mean, when he is able to do battle as far as the musculature is concerned, Dorian has it. He has just that hard, grainy nature that you can just see through the pictures. He's just much grainier and harder and crisper than Dr. Phil. Almost looks like a marshmallowy in comparison now. I don't want to be mean. And even the waistline of Dorian Yates I appreciate much more. And when you look at the calves, once again, boys against men. Boys against men. Anyway, good win for Dorian. Now, the back shots. And this is a shocker. This is a surprise to me. Right up until the comparison, and I would have told you Phil Heath has the back shots in the bag, both of them, including this, the rear double bicep pose. But during the comparison, I noticed just the hard, grainy nature of Dorian Yates is far, and I mean far superior over Dr. Phil's back. Now, yes, the glutes of Dr. Phil are very prominent, but you have to consider back then those guys did not display their glutes or really even flex them. And Dorian always kept his legs straight, so I am definitely taking all that into consideration. Having said that, I do see striated glutes on the part of Dorian Yates. And look at the calves. So really the legs could go either way, depending on how you look at these things. I'm giving the legs to Dorian. And like I said, that hard, grainy nature of Dorian Yates, I think it just overshadows this superior, just awesome look that Dr. Phil has here in this rear double bi. Perfectly symmetrical and things of that nature. But look at the delts also on Dorian. And an aspect where Dr. Phil usually reigns supreme in the trap department, not against the shadow, not against the juggernaut. Look at the traps on the juggernaut. And they're just hard and grainy, like I said. And when you look at the lower back, the tie-ins of the lower lats into the lower back there are just incredibly crisp and conditioned. Conditioning is not even a question here. So anyway, this is a huge win for Dorian. This is an awesome little competition. Now let's have a look at the next back shot. And wow, it's a little bit of an enigma, really. The hard grainy nature now goes to Dr. Phil. Interesting. It is definitely his shot. He is definitely doing the pose a whole lot different, I believe, than one Dorian Yates. Dorian seems to be pulling and spreading them big lats, and Dr. Phil seems to be going back and flexing his back more, creating a real Grand Canyon. Those traps really come to life for Phil in this pose. Anyway, I believe that Dorian Yates was a little bit better later on in his career as far as the back alone is concerned. So his back did continue getting better. But anyway, he loses this one, does Dorian, and Dr. Phil does an excellent job. Anyway, let's have the gentleman turn back around and have a look at the most muscular. And this is definitely one of those mathematical situations where it is just impossible for Dorian to win this pose. Structurally speaking, he is just not built for this. And Dr. Phil looks fantastic. Now, yes, he does look a little extra short in this, but trust me, he goes low with this one. Have a look at him and Kai Green here, and this is an actual picture of them two up on stage, and they're virtually the same height. Anyway, and Dorian is actually taller, so anyway, it doesn't matter how short he gets, he is destroying Yates in this pose. Anyway, let's award Phil the point, and now have a look at the final pose. And perhaps one of the harder ones for me to judge. But at the end of the day, I decided to lean just slightly towards Dorian Yates. Yes, he perhaps is losing in the thigh department, but when you really look deep into the thigh, you can see some conditioning there that Yates has in favor. And when you look, he's not really tilting one of his legs is kind of being held straight, so it appears a lot smaller than it could be. But I like his style. He's kind of bringing the other one up there, showing his calf. It's stylish. Whereas Dr. Phil's kind of just standing there, really. Like in all of his poses, his front poses anyway. But when I look at the conditioning of the upper body there, you really look. It looks like Yates is perhaps in a little bit better condition. And I never was a fan of Dr. Phil's abs. It just, I don't know, there's something about it. It looks cosmetic or something. I don't know. Can't quite put my finger on it. But when I look at those big giant lats, and lats are important in this pose, brings a nice X-frame to Yates. But anyway, it was a tough one, but we're leaning towards Yates. But as I tabulate these points, it didn't matter in the end, because Dr. Phil is leading by 1 point here. It is 5-4 in Dr. Phil's favor. But if you for 1 second take their posing routines and presentation and things of that nature into consideration, then it is my humbled opinion that Dorian Yates would edge out a slight victory as far as the 93 version versus the 2011 Dr. Phil is concerned. I mean, some people might like the in-your-face, random poses that Dr. Phil calls a routine, but I don't appreciate it that much as far as Dorian Yates is concerned. He has a nice presentation there. It's a nice choreographed posing routine. But hey, that's just me. But I'm sure 90% of the people would agree with that at least. But we're not going to take this victory away from Dr. Phil. He won the mandatory poses. But it is a heck of a close one between these two, so I'd like to hear your opinion in the comments section below on who you think was better between these two titans at the height of their careers. Anyway, this video went on a little bit longer than I expected, so I apologize, and I thank you very much for those of you who stuck through to the end. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video, and have a good day.